All right, hi everyone. I'd like to talk today about using numbers as a writing template. So this is kind of an odd use of numbers, or at least it's not what intuitively you would think numbers would be great at. But numbers actually makes a really nice writing template for any sort of research paper or any sort of paper that requires a lot of thought, a long writing process, because it keeps it all in one place and all together. So what I have here is the writing template, and this will be in iTunes U, so you're more than welcome to download it as well. But it's pretty much just a series of number sheets with the grid, with the table portion of it deleted. So let's say I create a new sheet here. This is what you usually see when you create a brand new sheet. You have a table, it's great for math, it's great for tabulating things, it's great for science, but it's also great for writing if I just tap on this circle up here, right in the upper left-hand corner, I can delete that table. And now I have this gigantic white canvas that I can really do anything I want with. And don't forget, with the ability to screencast off your iPad, now you have this nice blank whiteboarding app where you can draw all kinds of things, or you can type all kinds of things, and you can write all kinds of things, and record it and then upload that to students. However, that's not what we're going to be doing today. Let me delete this sheet that I just made. All right, so we have the writing process, and I've created tabs, or someone has created tabs. I really didn't do this with the writing process throughout the writing process. So the first one's brainstorming, and in this tab, all that these are just different shapes that were inserted. So you have your big overall thesis statement. Of course, these are all editable, so you can double tap on there, and you can go in and you can change it and create a thesis statement. And students could put their different claims and their quotes if they have whatever they have. There's drag and drop features enabled in this now. So let's say it's a short story. They could just go online to find that short story, highlight the quote they want, and drag it right in to their little text box. If they want to add more text box, it's as simple as hitting the plus button. I'm going to add a shape. So let's not get on nature shapes. Here we go. And now I can add whichever box I want. So it's very easy to add a brand new box. Now, obviously, this is the wrong color, and to change the color or how something looks, I'm going to click on the paintbrush, and I'm just going to change the color of that box to match all of its little friends in Claim 1. Now, there are lines connecting them, and that's not necessary, but it does kind of make it look nice and keep it all organized and everything like that. So to add a line, I'm just going to hit the plus button again, and here are my lines. I could do a straight line, or I could do a curved line. I'm going to choose a curved line because I'm fancy. And then, I just take one end of the curved line, and I'm going to click it. See how it clicked right into that box? I'm going to take the other end, I'm going to click it into that box, and now whenever I move this box, that line is going to move with it. All right. And I can tap on the line, I can make it a little straighter, a little bendier, whatever I want. All right, so that's the brainstorming. So this is a way for students to get all their information down into one sheet, get it all organized and put together. So it looks organized, it fits, it works well. And now if we go to the next tab, it's the rough draft. Now, admittedly, numbers is not the easiest thing to write in. So it might be more beneficial for them to type their paper in either Google Doc or Pages or anything else, and then copy and paste it into the rough draft. And I'm going to talk about why we're doing that, because it doesn't seem intuitive right now why you would write it in one app and then copy and paste it into another one. But when we're done, and as we go through this process, I think you might see why it will be nice to have everything together. So from their brainstorming, they're going to type up their paper, they're going to write their paper, and now it's time for peer feedback. Now, peer feedback in this case is just going to be something very straightforward and basic. They're going to hand their iPad to a friend, or group member probably is a much better idea than a friend. They're going to hand their iPad to a group member and just have them read the rough draft. So they're not sending it, they're not airdropping it, they're not emailing it, they're literally handing their physical iPad to the next person at the table and saying, can you please read this? Their peer reads it, and they just start filling in this field. So I'm going to put my name in there. All right, and type a couple of things I liked. I liked your thesis. A couple of things to change. I don't know, let's say claim 1. This is super vague information that probably wouldn't help anyone, but for the sake of time. And then you can also put in other questions like, how was it? General feelings is maybe a little bit vague, and maybe you want like, overall impression, how was the paper? And I can add emojis as well. So these live in emoji world, so you know it was okay, right? And when it's time for the next student to do it, they just hit the right arrow down at the bottom, and now you can hand your iPad to another student, and they can read through the rough draft, and they can go back to peer feedback, and they can fill in their feedback, and they're not going to be influenced by the person who just put their information in. Now, this isn't locked in any sort of way, so if a kid wants to cheat, they could just hit the left arrow and see what I wrote, but I would hope that most students would take at least some accountability and do it on their own instead of just blatantly copying the person in front of them, although whatever. Now, once you have all the peer feedback, if you tap on feedback results, this is where the student now can see all of the feedback that was given to them in one table form. So you can, if there were multiple students, multiple peers giving feedback, they can see exactly what people are saying about their paper. Now, anything I change in this feedback form, these feedback results, it's going to change in the peer feedback worksheet. So this peer feedback thing right here, these questions here, it's populated from this table. So instead of things you like, if I say, I don't know, positive feedback, and I'm done, so I'm going to hit that. Now if I go back to the feedback form, you'll notice my question changed from things you like to positive feedback. So I can change the questions by changing these title headers. I can also add a question if I'd like by just simply adding a column. And now I can add whatever I like. Now since I added this column after the fact, it just pretty much copied column E. So that's why it says choose one and it's all the emojis. To get that though, let's say you like that or you want it to be slightly different, since I'm changing how something looks, I'm going to hit the paintbrush. And under format, I can change what type of entry it is. So do I want it to be a checkbox, a list of things that they check? This one happens to be a pop-up menu. And I chose choose one as my first option, so it would pop up as choose one. And then I chose different emojis because, you know, if I hit the plus sign, normally it's text, but remember, we do have the emoji keyboard on here. And so I could, if I conceivably wanted to, put in any emoji from this emoji keyboard and as an option for feedback. Okay, so it's kind of a fun little different thing. If I wanted, let's say, a slider is nice if it's, you know, ranking or rating, because a slider will let you pick a value between this or that. So there's all kinds of different options to play around with. You can do a star rating very simply. So it's just I don't know why it's not changing off the pop-up, but so there's just a lot of different ways that you can change these, and so you don't necessarily need to do just regular text. So here, let me change that to, let's see if I can do star rating. It's odd that that's locked. I bet I know what to do. I'm going to delete all these. And now I'm going to change the format to star rating. There we go. So you just have to delete the current rating. And now they could pick, you know, 3 stars, 2 stars, 5 stars, and so forth. Now, after the student has brainstormed and done the rough draft and gotten their feedback, now it's time for the final draft. So the final draft is where they can type it in Pages again and then copy and paste it in here. And now this is where the idea of having everything together is really nice, because they can submit this to you and they can submit it as a PDF, which is probably the easiest way for them to submit it and for you to grade it. Or what they could do is submit just their final draft. And if you don't like it or there's something that's a little bit off and you want to see what their writing process was like, then you could request the entire writing template. So you could just require the entire template up front or request it later on, but this gives you a nice feel for where they went in the writing process and potentially where the hiccups were in the writing process. If a student turns in a very poorly written paper, but they also got very poor peer feedback, that's going to be addressed very differently than if it was just a very poor final draft, but they had fantastic feedback and they just didn't take it. So to submit this, you just hit the 3 circles, and then you're going to want to export it. And you can export it as a PDF, probably would make the most sense. And then each tab will generally be its own page. So this is kind of a unique way to use numbers, but I think it's a really powerful way to use it for the writing process and to track just thought over time. So if you have any problems with it, let me know and I can definitely help you out. Otherwise, good luck.